Gear and itemization, Diablo 4. Like Diablo 3, Diablo 4 is a personal loot system. Boo! Where loot is generated separately per player. Anything will be able to drop anywhere, similar to previous Diablo games. However, each monster family will be more likely to drop certain item types than others. For example, bandits will have an increased chance to drop maces, crossbows, and boots. Drowned have an increased drop chance of pants. It's such a random thing, but okay. Characters can equip a total of 10 items, except for barbarians who can wear 12 because the arsenal and rogue can equip 11. There's also smart loot that is being implemented in the game from, I believe, what we've heard or seen. Item qualities. Item qualities are mixed out of those previous Diablo titles, consisting of normal, magic, rare, legendary, set, and unique items. So here we can see some of the items. 1158 weapon attack, slow weapon, 7% resource regen. Hit effect, 16.8% immobilize chance. It has one socket. This is an 1158 weapon attack, slow weapon, 6% resource generation. 10% damage to vulnerable enemies, 8% crit strike chance. Hit effect, 11% immobilize chance with two sockets. And that's an 1158 weapon attack, slow weapon, 5% resource regen. 21 strength, 6% overpower chance, 9% immobilize chance, 10% crit strike chance. Knockdown enemies take 46% additional damage from your attacks. So properties, no affixes can have highest individual, up to 5, usually better than magic. 4 regular and 1 legendary, with the latter also rolling randomly. Legendary affixes have fixed item types they can appear on. A specific affix may only appear on a one-handed weapon, etc. Legendary affixes have increased power on specific item types. E.g., a specific affix may have 33% increased power on an amulet. Modify skills in a similar way as seen in Diablo 3. Hundreds of new legendaries, different types, generic, good for every build. Category specific and skill specific. Class skills crossing over through legendaries is being explored, but very limited only on endgame items to keep class identity intact. Definitely their thing. They really like the class identity in D3 and D4 here. Legendaries will not rain from the sky like in D3. Set, less powerful or equal to legendaries, more introductory to the class or to live out a certain fantasy, which means you'll eventually graduate out of them. That's nice. Build around items with completely fixed affixes, heavily thematic and usually class-specific powers for unique items. Items, weapons based on the region they're found in. Oh, the appearance. On top of differing weapon speeds, each weapon type will have inherent physical. That's actually pretty cool. Physical characteristics which cannot be modified. Attack speed, all stats, resource regen. One change is that the chance an item will proc its hit effect will adjust itself in the item's tooltip. Each skill has a different proc coefficient, which is the probability to trigger a hit effect. The items will now show the correct chance to trigger their hit effect based on your equipped skills. Okay. This helps the player to better determine how likely it is to pull off the hit effect with the current setup they're wearing. They confirmed no set items in D4. Okay, so these are out. Maybe later. Item affixes. Randomized values. Matchfind, Goldfind will exist, but they will not compete with damage affixes. Skill rank affixes are turning. Different skills rolls on specific item slots. For example, some skills can be found on pants, others only on weapons. Plus X to skill ranks. Crushing blow chance, attack speed, some offensive, defensive, damage reduction while evading. X fire resist, max life, reduced potion cooldown. Utility, X% cooldown reduction. There's the cooldown reduction. X% movement speed, X sockets, X gem strength in this item. Alright. CDR and the affixes. Legendary unique powers. They can be generic.
Remember to take those
or
Daddy
specific.
Bezos dollars.
Thank you, Voodoo. Thank you. When you stand inside your own damage and ground effects, you increase the damage they deal by 25%. Plus 1 rank to your equipped skills. Increase the duration. Barbarian. Basic skills deal 20% less damage, but generate 6% more fury. Lightning strikes a nearby enemy, dealing 122 damage whenever you shapeshift. Fireball launches 3 projectiles that deal 54% of normal damage. These are class-specific ones. And here we can see some class-specific items. 11.5% elite damage reduction. Reminder. 9% control duration bonus. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Zium. 18 life regen. 34% movement speed on elite kill. 17 dex, 19 intelligence, 46 thorns, 24 cold res, 16 willpower, 12% control duration bonus, 5% dodge chance, 5.5% movement speed. Chill effects will trigger 25% faster, but you deal 30% less frost damage. Oh, will freeze 25% faster. Amulet. And the amulet has attack. Didn't they take attack off of amulets and rings? I really hope so. Good. 12% max mana, 6% range damage, 9% mana cost reduction, plus 1 to ceaseless rank to ceaseless bolts. Yep. And then here's some uniques. Max life, elite damage reduction, reduced potion cooldown, plus 1 rank to hunt the weak. Your poisons no longer deal damage over time. Instead, 127% of the total damage is dealt to the target when your poisons expire. When Hurricane deals damage, there's a chance to automatically cast Tornado at the target for free. When Hurricane deals damage, there's a chance. What is the chance? So poison just becomes delayed damage there. 50-50. Does D2 tell you the chance? Usually. But even still, this game gives you all these crazy detailed percentages, and now it just says a chance? Alright, well either it happens or it doesn't. 50-50, you're right. The game is currently in testing and with and without durability. I don't know if durability is there. No. Runes and rune words, they removed them and said they're going to bring them in later. So, nothing there. Gems, just sock it into your items. Consumables, town portal, scroll of escape. And then just your potion. Here's just inventory. Everything in the inventory is just one slot, which I don't like a ton for these, but yeah, they need to update this a little bit. But unique powers like the one shown. Yeah, this is weird for unique items because it's just like, I don't know. These are really meh. This isn't really what a unique item is like. Those aren't uniques. It says unique. Maybe it's just old uniques. Yeah, maybe those are just outdated because those are just legendaries. Trading will not be completely open-ended. Basically, trading will be rare items and below, and you will steal legendary affixes. You take a legendary item, extract its power, and then put it onto a rare item. So you're just going to trade rare items and below, and so basically you just look for good rare items, and then you put the legendary power you want on the item. Gambling, will act as a gold sink. The best items in the game will be available through gambling. I don't know what that means. Good rare items are like +4 to Whirlwind, for example. Okay. Crafting incorporates the world-slaying monsters. You'll be able to create items. Endgame will mostly revolve around item modification. The removal of items from sockets will come at a cost. The occultist lets you extract, here it is, into a legendary essence. You destroy the item, and then you can implant it into a rare item, upgrading it to a legendary. Uniques cannot be modified. These legendary essences can be stored and used at a later time. Transmogrification will return, so you can make it look how you want. You can dye it different colors. And that's the itemization piece. Definitely one of my biggest concerns in the game. I feel it just has a lot of potential issues and potential blandness. Item identity feels weak. And if it's just a chase for the one legendary affix and implant it on a rare. I mean, the nice thing at least is they're making rares kind of the really cool thing. So you're running around looking for the best rare you can find, and then you just implant whatever affix you want on it. So I do think that's at least a nice piece. That's like my favorite part about it is that you're going to run around and look for really cool rares, which I like a lot. But I think it kind of blands out a lot of the other pieces. My worry is I'm just going to be filled up on just full legendary. So I like the rares being hot commodities, though. I'm very sad that I can't trade anything beyond a rare. I always hate that. So now if I ever want to make something a legendary, that destroys all its value for trade. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, will there be, we'll just have to see how it plays. Like I say, a lot of worry here. From it. A lot of worry from it. I'm just afraid I'm going to get bored of the itemization quickly, and I'll just be salvaging everything really fast and all that, and we'll see. But biggest concern. Monsters in combat in Diablo 4. So we know a decent amount about the different monsters and families. There's the elites and the champions, and there's a lot of affixes that have to do with like elites and skills and things that have to do with elites as well. So it's extra damage to elites, reduced damage from elites, things like that. So yeah, that's something there. Some familiar elite affixes are returning with them. Mortar, Frozen, and Waller. For instance, monsters with multi-shot might fire 3 projectiles instead of 1, or resurrect 3 monsters instead of 1. That's actually pretty cool. That multi-shot could also have like them to resurrect more if it's a revival one. Bosses and world bosses. There's going to be there's Mr. Duriel, right? Belial, right? Something like that. Kind of looks like him. Oh, Drowned Witch is on the right. World bosses will be part of D4 for the first time in history. We only know of Ashava and the Treasure Beast. These bosses require a large amount of players to be defeated. Harder versions that you fight within a ranged party are being discussed. So there's definitely some of the like hard world bosses. They showed that one in the previews there from the like demo stuff. All bosses come with a new stagger system. Crowd control effects will not affect bosses directly, but rather fill up a portion of the stagger bar. When it's filled up, the boss becomes staggered and goes into a weakened state. And that was something we also saw. As we did more of the stagger on it, it would lose like, part of its armor from its right side or whatever, things like that. The World Buster Shava loses one of its arm weapons for the rest of the fight, which makes the fight easier. If it's staggered a second time, the other arm breaks off. Combat and combat mechanics. Diablo 3's visceral combat is the foundation of combat in D4. Compared to Diablo 3, D4's combat is designed to be more intentional. Tactical decisions during combat will play a bigger role, and developers are also trying to provide more clarity on the battlefield while increasing the stakes through difficulty. In previous iterations of Diablo, an AoE or melee skill is a single area of damage that is applied on a single frame. Diablo 4 has target areas animated over multiple frames, which allows the animated target areas to be lined up with the animated visual effects that play out. This adds a subtle timing aspect to a variety of skills. There are various, we can look at this really fast. That is actually cool. Like, that is actually really, really cool. I know, we saw this before, but it is really cool, the pieces of that. So it's not just always the damage in the circle, but where your weapon is actually swinging. So timing on that stuff is meaningful. I like that. Cold skills apply chill. Chill damage is reduced. Repeatedly chilling will freeze. There's no diminishing returns for both players and monsters when it comes to crowd control in Diablo 4. Skills can grant unstoppable. Control parrying effects are removed or prevented. Skill-driven deaths from Diablo 3 will make a return in Diablo 4. Depending on the skill or element that kills a monster, they can be burned, decapitated, flayed, or crushed, to give a few examples. Monster level scaling will not be completely fixed. Areas will have a minimum and or maximum monster levels. Besides that, the monster level will scale to your character's level to ensure you can play with friends at any time. Various versions of level scaling are being tested, and as with all features, this is subject to change. I really hope that they don't do monster scaling to your character. I always feel like that's such a cheap cop-out that is boring. I mean, the problem is, let's pretend I walk out into the cold plains and I fight a monster and it's a tough monster. And then I go and level up a bunch and get all this new gear and blah, blah, blah. And then I go back to the cold plains and I go and fight that monster and it's the same exact thing because the monster has now leveled up. There's no sense of, I got better. I increased my power. All I feel is every time I level up, I get weaker. I'm hurting myself because now everything else is leveled up. So the benefit is it gives you more places to go farm and grind. You can always move around and grind anywhere and whatever. But the downside is everything is bland the same because you never get that feeling of this was hard and now it's easy. I got stronger. I feel like I've conquered this and overcome it and all of that. I think there's other cool ways to bring back areas if you really want an area to be able to be brought back. I think one way is simply having some sort of, okay, you've now beaten the game through, you've beaten through the game. And now at this point, certain areas have, been overtaken by stronger monsters or whatever thing. And now it becomes a new zone, and the monsters there are now level 60 because they're doing the, like, that stuff with these, you go and like free the stronghold, and you have to like free that city. What if that city then got retaken over later on by even stronger stuff, and now you go, right? I feel like there are ways to do it. You could also have some sort of thing. I mean, this is a little bit done in Media and Excel, where within a lot of the zones, there'll be a portal. And it'll just be a portal to essentially that zone extended. But that portal's either not accessible until you're like level 95 or something, so you can't go to it. Or if you can go in there, but you just get murdered. And so then you go back to the Cold Plains to run to that portal, where you then go to the further advanced of the Cold Plains where stuff is harder, whatever things. But yeah, I just don't like monster level scaling very much. Dynamic scaling it's like I say, everything then feels bland. You never feel like I'm now stronger coming in here. I'm getting a good feeling of this character feels better or than this or that. It's just everything is all scaled around your level, all. In Endgame beta, open world didn't matter. Gear farming was in dungeons, so level scaling feels kind of moot. Yeah, especially if you're going to push us all to the dungeons and Paragon board stuff anyways. What's the point then of having this level scaling? I really hope they do away with it. Dungeons in Diablo 4. Dungeons are a core part of the Diablo franchise, so it's not much of a surprise to see them feature in the 4th installment. Over 140 fully randomized dungeons. And it's from the Diablo 3 dungeon generator. Improved version, but that does worry me a little bit because I feel like the D3 dungeons are a little boring. A few facts about D4 ones. Going from one level to the next will not require loading screens. That is nice. You'll encounter random events in these dungeons. For instance, destroying an altar that is guarded by monsters. That's also nice. I like if there's random events and things in there. Actions in one part of the dungeon can affect what happens in the next. Each dungeon also features a different objective to set them apart. For example, you might need to slay all enemies while being chased by elites as you progress. Progressing the objective will make the dungeon more dangerous, but will also increase the rewards, and you'll be able to farm for item types, e.g. gloves, in specific dungeons. The dungeons that drop a specific item type will change regularly. Interesting. Will change regularly. So if you want to farm gloves, it'll be this dungeon, and then it'll be that dungeon later. So that's how they kind of push you around to the different dungeons, I guess. Nightmare Dungeons section of the guide. Oh, that's just down further. PvP in Diablo is being explored. There's just going to be these open PvP zones. So you have to opt in, and it seemed like they had cool things to go after in there to make them enticing. But I think there's still a lot to be figured out about it. You collect seeds of hatred from them, completing events and opening chests. While carrying the seeds, you can lose these on death. They can be converted at the altar of extraction and turned into red dust. And that can be spent on the PvP cosmetic and mount vendors for ornamental rewards. So that is really cool. The more that you kill and all of that stuff, and the more seeds and all red dust you collect, the cooler stuff you can get for rewards to show that you're a PvP god. That's really fun. I really like that PvP right there. Endgame systems, world bosses. We talked about these a little bit. Here's the one that we saw with the big chest, and here's the other one. You could like knock off its arm. Nightmare dungeons, inspired by greater rifts. D4's nightmare dungeons are like regular dungeons, but with added challenge when it comes to difficulty and properties of the dungeon. Each nightmare sigil corresponds to a specific dungeon. The difficulty levels are tied to the nightmare sigils and will go up infinitely. Get 'em, Darce, which also determines the rarity of item drops. Dungeon affixes are also found on the nightmare sigils, which will customize the dungeons by affecting the player, enemies, and or the environment. Here are a few examples. All enemies are invisible unless they are in combat. Double bosses. Interesting. These sigils can be obtained by completing missions at the Tree of Whispers. More on the Tree of Whispers can be found in the next section. When you complete it, you'll be rewarded with a more powerful Nightmare Sigil. And so then you can plan for, the next one. Once you unlock higher world tiers, new Nightmare Dungeons will be available. Whisper of the Dead, Tree of Whispers, has frequently cycling world objectives displayed on your map that reward you with experience gold and varying amount of Grim Favors. 10 Grim Favors can be exchanged for a variety of loot and experience. The type of whispers on the map will rotate frequently throughout the day and will each offer a different set of rewards and experience for completing it. The Whispers of the Dead system will unlock after you complete a specific character or chapter of the main storyline. There will be consequences if contracts with the Tree of Whispers are broken. Oh, that's kind of fun. You make a deal and then you have to finish out the contract. Interesting. Helltide is a region-wide event that becomes available after reaching the World Tier 3 Nightmare difficulty. In these Helltides, the landscape will reflect the demonic activity, and monsters will be out in greater force and more difficult, but will also drop better loot. Monsters in the Helltide event have a chance to drop cinders, a currency that can be spent to open Helltide chests that are scattered throughout the region. Helltide chests rewards with items exclusive to a singular item slot, such as torso, legs, or two-handed weapon. If you die while carrying cinders, they will drop and need to be reclaimed. We're getting a lot of currencies here. I am slightly worried at how many currencies have been mentioned. I've got my... there just seems to be a lot of them existing. World tiers make sure that the difficulty of the world stays on pace at the power of your character level. You need to prove to yourself to unlock World Tiers 3, 4, 5 by completing a specific dungeon to access that more challenging content. Tier 1 and 2 available from level 1. This is just difficulty, like Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, when you just pick your, what difficulty do you want to fight this zone at. Higher world tiers unlock additional loot in the world, like sacred and ancestral items.
To get 6 Shrewd Bucks to get your
also,
pants.
Certain unique items will only be available at higher world tiers. The last world tier is designed for level 100 and contains an extremely difficult boss at the end. Defeating said boss will get you to the end of the end game. Okay. Thanks, monkey. Leaderboards will be more in the direction of the Diablo 3 seasonal quest conquest leaderboards, with the focus on meaningful leaderboards for specific activities, challenges, and a small amount of people competing for it, rather than having players compete for the number one spot out of 1 million players. This is referring to the Grey Rifts in D3, which automatically enter you into the competition as long as you complete a sufficient level. They've said Diablo 3 a lot more, I feel like. But, I mean, we know that this game is more D3. Post-launch content. Seasons, similar to prior Diablo games. Diablo 4 will have seasons. The first season will be available soon after launch. For a year with each exclusive new feature, questline, enemy, legendary, unique item, paragon boards, glyphs, and more. Balancing the game with the release of new season priority, making sure not to balance the fun out. The season journey as we know it from Diablo 3 will make a return in Diablo 4. And so you get your little, complete all your chapters, defeat monsters, claim all rewards things. Again, another piece where so many open up thing to claim. It's like I open up the battle pass to claim the battle pass. I open up the chapters to claim every single time that I've achieved anything. It really does feel like it gets into just the free-to-play mobile game experience where you're just constantly opening up menus just over and over and over to go claim the next thing. It just ends up becoming a chore eventually. And what am I even claiming? What is this thing even getting me? Can I set it to just auto claim? God, I really hope so. I know I can't, but God, I wish it would just auto claim. Diablo 4 also features a season pass with free tiers, including cosmetics, premium currency, and gameplay boost. Also, I swear to God, if one of the things to claim is like, open up the shop. Or if the shop has a free thing to claim every single day, I'm going to lose my dang mind. I will throw something out this window if there is something that forces me to open the shop up to claim something every day or whatever. Yeah, so then we have the season pass. We've gone over what the season pass and all of that stuff will be with the currency and all of that. We talked about all this at the beginning. That's in its own little video piece. Should be only cosmetics for paying. If there's anything else, window. Buy to play game, expansions planned. You will not be able to buy power in the game. This is their emphasis. Season pass system, a battle pass. Again, we went over all that. Right now, it should just be spend your Paladum and other currency to buy skins. We want to try and give players enough character slots and stash space so you don't need more, especially the first few months or more of the game. That was when asked about paying for extra character slots or stash space, which to me is actually a terrible answer because that's not no. Are you going to have us pay for extra character slots or stash space? We want to give players enough space so they don't need more. Especially in the first few months. You don't need it. You never need more. You don't need any stash space in Diablo 2. That's just if you want, you can use it, but it's not needed. You don't even need an inventory. You could have the item go right to your character if you want to use it. That answer says probably, which will be annoying because I would definitely say pay to win if you can buy stash space. Character slots. Yeah, he doesn't even address stash space, really. I guess he says both. Oh, we'll see. I really hope there's no buying stash space too, especially in a game that costs $70. Features have not appeared. Followers, mercenaries, charms, ancient items, auction house, or offline play. Gameplay and UI. Platforms and system requirements. Windows PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. Crossplay. There will be crossplay and cross progression across all supported platforms. That's nice. Couch co-op will be limited to 2 players, but it will be there, which is also nice. And both players can now open the user interfaces independently. And add-on support is not planned as the developers think everything needed should be included in the base game. Settings are added to offer more customization. You can adjust the action bar layout. The left mouse button can now be bound to something other than primary attack. Monsters flashing on hit can be disabled. And there will be controller support for PC.